You know, there's professionals that have to work hand in hand, side by side with each other, and having a title officer to be able to call on when you're listing property is extremely important. And, you know, thank you for your support, for supporting not just me, but the association. And I see you brought another vendor of ours too, Vanessa Stickers here, home inspector. You know, so if you're a new agent, I would say that there's 3 professionals that you must have on your team right away, and it's a title person, a home inspector, and a mortgage lender. And those three people are going to be very valuable to you, and they're going to be very valuable as we go through the listing presentation today. So, now I want to ask everybody. We talk about this funny thing called goals. Raise your hand if you set a goal this year. Raise your hand if you hit a goal this year. Huh? Isn't that interesting? Yeah. What is that? Is it fear? Some people are afraid just to set them. Some people are afraid to look, I might set them, I might hit it. Yeah. Well, my goal today is to spend maybe about an hour with you guys. And the thing I fear is that we spend an hour and nothing happens. I want something to happen. I want you guys to take these tools that I'm going to give you and use them. So hopefully you have a notebook, because in the next hour, we're going to actually go, there's 25 points that I'm going to hit. Richard Rylat looked at, oh my goodness, 25 things, Sharkey. Come on, man. Yeah. But I'm going to make it easy. We're going to go five times. Fair enough? So it can all be in the palm of your hand by the time we're done with this. So hopefully you guys are excited about this. You're ready to take some good notes. And the first part about this I wanted to make sure you guys understand is, when we set up this appointment with a seller, we want to be able to create positive control. You know, positive control, what does that mean? Help me out, somebody. What do you mean by positive control? He knows I'm gonna lean on him if nobody else participates, right, Larry?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Setting your own destiny, making your plans.
Yeah.
Setting your course and being responsible for your actions.
Well, that's like one of the magic tricks. Like, how do we do this? Well, particularly when we go into somebody's living room, or, you know, it makes it even harder because now you're in their space. You know, how do you take positive control in their space? So I'm going to show you guys something that's called a preview of coming attractions. But before I go over all that, I want you guys to realize that when you're going on this appointment, you've got to set a standard. You've got to set a value for yourself. Anybody ever have problems getting full commissions when they're on a listing appointment? Yeah. So how do we create this positive control in such a manner that not only could we get the commissions that we want, but maybe even better than average commission? And that's the big trick, I always say. Well, it starts off with the first 5 things I want to share with you guys, and it's 5 things that Floyd Wickman shared with me, and it's core values. And every company has them. Maybe your company has them. Maybe you have them. But core values help you and guide you to keep you on track when you're trying to persuade someone. Very easy to deceive somebody, but when you have values, core values, it keeps you right on track. So that way you're always persuading them and never deceiving people. So let me share those with you. The first one is live by the get by giving philosophy. And many of you know about this group that we have. We take everybody through this boot camp, if you will. Once they become graduate students, then they come to our meetings. And it's the Get by Giving award winners that we brag so much about. What is it? Well, in our business, it's very competitive. Certainly it's unusual for someone to give away all their secrets to, you know, people right in their backyard. But it's important for us to be able to give. And our R-Squared group, when they come on the call, they give everything that they have, and it's amazing. Every week, Larry and I will attest to it, we get a PhD in real estate, because it's amazing to watch these people in different stages of their career get what they need, use those skill sets, and then move on with it. So first one is get by giving. The second one is making my client's number one goal my number one goal. Ever go on that listing appointment and you really need that commission? Yeah, you got to put that aside and focus on what these people need. And then living up to my standards despite temptations to lower them. Anybody ever ask you to lower your commission? Did you? I know we've all made that mistake once before, haven't we? Yeah, sorry, I had to swallow. So live up to your standards despite temptations to lower them. I always love that when a seller says to me, lower your commission. I said, I just told you I couldn't lower it. So what did I lie to you? I didn't lie to you. Come on, we don't want to start off on a lie. And then be willing to work towards a common good. I always love focusing on the end in mind. Like, where's the new house going to be, Richard? Right? Where are you going to move to, Mr. Seller, when you get out of here? And what do you want your mortgage payments to be? Being able to figure out all those numbers and help them anticipate where they're going. And then do what I say, what I do, going to do, sometimes more, just never less. So don't promise too many things. And that's kind of an interesting thing about what we're going to go through today is you'll find that we're presenting, not promising. You'll be able to knock out the competition before it's even time to knock out the competition by just presenting these things. So anybody have any questions about the core values? Anybody heard them before? Has anybody ever used them in their presentation? Hey, Terry, I see Terry Lynn showed up today too. Good morning, Terry Lynn. Okay, great. Well, look, you guys, I was thinking about goals. I was thinking about when I was a kid and my father bought my first bicycle. Of course, you know how dads are, right? Hey, well, we got to get him one he's going to grow into. So it's a little bit bigger than it should be. But my grandmother was really nice to put the training wheels on it for me. Of course, I was embarrassed riding around the neighborhood. The kids, all the other kids didn't have their training wheels on, but I had mine because I could barely get the pedal all the way down. So after about 2-3 weeks riding around the neighborhood that summer, I remember like it was yesterday. I came in the house and I'm like, I want these training wheels off. And sure enough, my mother and my grandmother came out and they're like, okay, take the training wheels off. And they head right into the house as I go on my main voyage on my bicycle with no training wheels. Well, you guys can only imagine what happened, right? My mother and my grandmother were already at the door with first aid kit before I even fell. To wipe up my knees and all. I had obviously fallen, and I'm like, yeah, Grandma, I didn't even tell you I was hurt yet. How did you know this? This is, well, we didn't give you that piece of advice, and that's don't look down, because you're always going to look down once, right? So don't look down or don't look back. But when you get into this CETO with your customers, drive forward with it, Richard, because it's going to work. So positive control. Have you ever heard of a safe island tour? Basically giving somebody a preview of coming attractions. That's one of the things that I wanted to set you guys up for today, is talking about setting the seller up for a preview of coming attractions. So we still have some more people popping in here. So first thing I wanted to ask you guys, is anybody not familiar with PowerPoint? So anybody on the call, raise your hand or acknowledge PowerPoint. It's one of the things I want you to be able to utilize is a PowerPoint presentation. And the one that I'm going to show you, I kind of threw together. It took me about 15 minutes yesterday to put this together. And I'm happy to help you put yours together too if you want. I only charge like $350 an hour. Hey! So you can do this. It's 6, 8 slides, maybe 10 if you want, to make sure that you have a visual behind the background. And why we want to have that is when we're selling people, we're going to sell 2 people at once. Usually there's a couple when you're selling a house, right? One might be more analytical, the other person might be more visual. So you want to make sure that you have a visual in the back. And can everybody see that? What every owner should know about Sharkey Real Estate. Everybody see that okay? It's got really quiet. Everybody's on mute. That's good. Okay. So you want to have a visual in the background. And when you're setting up your appointment, the first thing you want to do is you want to acknowledge that there's 3 outcomes of every presentation. And if we realize that or not, one of the outcomes is that they're going to hire us. That's one that most agents expect when they get on an appointment. The second one, which we know happens, but we don't like so much, is that they don't hire us. But what I want you guys to understand is that third piece, and that's all about the attitude. It's what if you decide not to take the job? And it's okay to not feel confrontational with someone, particularly when you're in their house and you know, things just don't line up, so you're not going to take the job. Do I have a question there? So when we sit down with a person, let's start this off. Who wants to role play with me? Larry, you want to try it?
Go ahead, I'm ready.
All right. So the first part we're going to talk about is the CETO and how to get positive control over the listing appointment. So I'm going to role play it with Larry first, and then we're going to break down some of the points there, okay? So, hey, Larry, thank you so much for coming on Zoom with me today and allowing me to present my services to you and how we sell homes.
My pleasure, Brian.
Hey, Larry, look, before we begin, Larry, I just wanted to introduce you to something that I call the expired list. Are you familiar with that?
Don't believe I am.
Larry, it's not a list of dead people, okay? But this list has 2 things in common with it. And the first thing is it's a list of sellers just like yourself that wanted to sell their home. And unfortunately, they went 6 months or even a year and weren't able to do that.
Wow.
Pretty horrible stuff, yeah. And the second thing, Larry, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion only, they probably should never have agreed to work with the agent that they signed that listing agreement with, because they went all that time and nothing happened. So before we get started, Larry, I just want to make sure that you understand the page that I'm on is I do not want to be on that expired list, and I certainly don't want your property to be on there either. Fair enough?
I don't want it on there either, Brian.
That's excellent. You know, Larry, I have been doing this for 15 years now, and the thing that I found is there's 5 steps to a listing appointment that can assure that we will never be on that list.
Really?
That's that second 5, you guys. So the first 5 was the core values. The second 5 is the 5 steps of the listing appointment that we're going to take. So can I share these steps with you, Larry?
Hey, please do.
Here are the 5 steps to my plan, Larry, that create the results. The first step is I want to understand your concerns. And I know you want to sell the home and I know you want to move, but I really want to take a deep dive and I want to have the opportunity to ask you a lot of questions. Some might be basic, some might be a little bit hard, but to really get a good understanding on what you're trying to get at and what you don't want to see happen during this process to make sure that I get you the best price with the shortest period of time and don't create too much heartache for you. And then the second step, Larry, if it's okay with you, we'll actually take Zoom and we'll do a tour around the house. You can show me the house as if I'm buying it and you're the realtor.
Okay.
That way we could point out, if you want me to, I can point out ways to increase value and ways to help the house sell a little bit faster maybe. And after we go through that, assuming that you're okay with that part, then the next step is we can go into the custom marketing plan. And there, okay, I wanted to share with you several things. The first, I wanted to share with you the 5 parts of my marketing plan. I want to share with you the 5 reasons why people choose my company over other companies. And the last thing I wanted to share with you is the 5 top reasons why people have picked me over other agents to sell their home. So if we got through all those and without any objections, we could probably get to step 4. And that's where we could talk about the pricing of the property, what it may sell for, what it may list at, and then kind of give you an estimate of how much money you're going to have in your pocket when you head down to Florida.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah. Assuming that we get through all those things, Larry, then the last step are the little details, all those devilish things, the details, like how are we going to set up the showings and, you know, how we're going to set up all those procedures, particularly now with, you know, COVID-19, and how we're going to make sure that everybody remains safe and clean and happy during the process. And then, of course, the timing of it as well. I know that if we can get through all 5 of those steps, Larry, we would probably be in a position to make a mutual decision with each other. And the most important part is we will stay away from that expired list. What do you think?
That sounds like a good plan so far. I'm listening.
Yeah, there you go. Great. So let's stop right here for a minute and just talk about what just happened. Does anybody have any questions or any input? Any thoughts? Don't be shy. I'll start calling everybody out.
My first thought is that's a big cup, right?
Oh, yeah. I like to drink water, Richard. I drink a lot of water. Thank you. No, pertaining to the listing presentation that we just talked about, that's called the CETO. I'm sorry, that's called the Preview of Coming Attractions. When we're doing that, you notice what I did psychologically. I have basically taking the pressure off of the end result, and it allows us to be able to seek a little bit more of what's going to happen over the next however long that you're going to take. But when you set the standard right there with the Preview of Coming Attractions, the POCA, it really puts the seller at ease, because they understand, they know what to expect at this point. Now, there's a couple other tricks to this, and one of them I'm going to mention to you guys, and we work a lot on this in the training, is when you get to the house, or you get to this point on the listing appointment, we would have already known what the seller wants for the house. So when we get to pricing and all, that's not going to be a surprise for us. And it's a way that we handle pricing that's quite unusual. It does require a lot more selling skill, but our students find that they might be at a lower closing ratio, but they are at a much higher selling ratio. And as I like to profess, getting more commission. I love when you guys are getting above average commissions on properties, and being able to sell them faster just by leveraging the Realtor Nation. Cool stuff there. Okay, so I heard somebody chatting in the back. I'm not sure, Sylvia, is somebody trying to ask a question? No? Okay. So now that we've given permission for that, then I would ask, oh, Larry, okay, so is it okay if I start asking you some questions? Now I'm going to make everybody participate.
Sure, let's ask questions.
Yeah, let's ask some questions. Larry, you start first. Name one question that we would ask a seller that would be helpful on a listing appointment.
Oh, do you have any place in mind that you're planning to move to?
Okay, where are you trying to move to? I'm going to pick everybody out, so come on off mute for a second. Tell me one of your questions you would ask a seller. I'll go in order here. Okay, Richard.
I'll jump in.
Give me a minute. Come back to me. I'm thinking.
All right, I'll come back to you.
I'll jump in with another, Brian. You know, why are you selling? How can we help? You know, why are we here today?
Okay. How about you, Terry Lynn?
Okay, let me think for a second. You caught me off guard. I didn't think you're okay. So where do you plan on moving? Oh, you already said that. When do you plan to move?
When do you plan to move? Where are you planning to move? Good. Okay. How about you, Cindy? Cindy Katz. How about Cindy? There's 3 Cindys on here, all spelled differently.
Even though Cindy is not on audio, she can type in the chat if she'd like.
Oh, okay, great. All right, we'll go to Robin next.
What is your realistic time frame expectation for the home to sell?
Yeah. Okay. How about you, Maria? I think Cindy Katz is off mute. We do hear something every now and then. Marnie, do you have a question that you could think of? What would an agent ask a seller on a listing appointment? Where are you guys? Come on, you're all sleeping on me. Marnie?
Too much partying yesterday, Brian. I think people are still
Boy,
relaxing.
I tell you, I'll tell you. All right,
I would think that in a listing presentation, you might want to discuss any work they've done on the house, possibly.
Yeah.
Also, any other possible owners that might be on title in the house that we're not aware of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very important, particularly for their taxes too. If they've done some improvements to the home and they're going to have some capital gains when they sell the property. Absolutely.
You already spoke on it a little bit, Brian, but showing how they want to handle the showings. And I mean, you're going to have obviously want to get more in depth with that. And then, you know, obviously pricing and how they feel about the pricing and pricing of their home. But I don't know.
Right. Right. Now, we have asked before this appointment, we've asked the seller what they think the home is worth. I wouldn't be on the listing appointment unless the seller gave me a number. And if they avoid it, well, you're the expert. No, well, how much do you owe on the house? I'm gonna try to get some ballpark idea of where they want their home to sell at. And I would ask questions about that. You know, Richard, we talked about that. The showing instructions are step 5, all the way at the end. And it's always earth-shattering for me when I'm spending an hour and 40 minutes at a seller's home, and we get to the last part, and we're talking about showing the home, and they're like, "Well, no lockbox. Oh, no sign in the yard. No, as a matter of fact, I don't want anybody to use the front door, the back door, or the garage door, except on Tuesdays when there's a full moon." Yeah. So you're like, wait a second, hold on. Everything was perfect, but this one little bottleneck right here, you're not going to let me show the house. I can't do it. You know, as a real estate agent, you're spending hundreds of dollars, and maybe it might not be direct cost out of your pocket, but time and money and energy, hundreds of dollars for every showing that you set up, and to have to cancel it at the last second, it's terrible, terrible, terrible. So it's very important to try to plant those questions. You don't have to solve the problem when you're probing in this understanding phase. And that's what I want everybody to understand here is when you're asking the questions, this is not the time for you to solve problems. And if you ever listened to a man named Neil Rackham, he has a book out, audio tapes. I think they're probably 25 years old, and it's called Spin Selling. And Floyd talks a lot about this too in our program and how we stack problems. And the way you're asking questions, so you use the acronym SPIN, situation, questions, then you ask them questions about the problems that they're having. And then you ask them, what was the I? I forgot the I. Quick, look it up. I forgot the I. Anyway, so you're asking this order of questions where you're able to create a problem. So, for example, okay, so you don't want the house to be shown during the day because the kids nap. Is that what I'm understanding, Richard? Right. Okay. Well, you know, now that we have that problem, we're going to solve it. We're going to solve it at the end. And you know, as a realtor, what do? We can block out for those 2 hours in the middle of the day, so that way nobody can show the house, right? Can you hear me, Richard? So that's step one.
Is this where I break out into a song or something to cover the dead space? I'm just asking.
No, I hear you. I'm sorry. I was looking up. I was trying to figure out what I was. I was searching for I, and I got my kid in the background. So.
Oh, I'll pull it up for you. There are several different acronyms for setting up stacking a problem, but I think the important part is when you ask a question in this part, and you come across some kind of conflict or some kind of situation with that. For example, Richard, you don't want showings during the day. Well, that would be what would be the problem? You know, waking the child up from the nap, and then, you know, missing dinner, and then, yeah, it could snowball for you. So that's a big problem. Well, don't address it now, but as we get to that section, step 5, when you're talking about it, hey, would it be beneficial to you, Richard, if I blocked out between 12 o'clock and 2, so everybody knew they had to be out of the house by noon, and nobody's going to come back until after 2 o'clock each day? Would that solve that for you? We're going to say that all the way at the end. You might be worrying about it this whole time. How is he going to show the house? I can't let him show the house during the middle of the day. But when I've thought about it, and now I present you the solution at the end, and that's the end part is the need, you know, that you have. So
I found the I is for implication.
Thank you, Cindy. So implying the a solution for them, and then the N is creating the need. So when you're asking all these questions, you ask them in a series. Essentially, what you're doing is you're creating a pattern of positive reinforcement, but the questions get tougher until you get all the information that you think you need. Now, we talk on our groups all the time. What are the magic questions? You know, if we had to boil it down to just 10 or 15 questions, and that's always up for debate. And I think now with COVID, I think that's certainly changed what those top 15 questions would look like, you know, moving forward. Certainly going to have a lot more questions about health and safety and showing, particularly when we're on a Zoom meeting like this. Okay, so let me get flying through here. So analyzing the property. When you go on a listing appointment, it's oftentimes that you go and take a look at the house right away before you even sit down and present to them. And I want you to understand that while you're doing this on Zoom or you're doing it live in person, you want to set the stage and talk about everything we have so far before you look at the house. Because a lot of the answers to the questions that you have will be resolved by you looking at the house. Well, do you think we could sell it in this condition? You know, you want to be set up for that instead of having to be reactive and talking about your marketing plan in pieces. So when you analyze the property, you want to be looking at it like you're a buyer. You don't want to be looking at it like you're a listing agent. Let the seller sell you on the house. They're the most recent expert at selling and buying this house. And so allow them to do that. And they're going to show you, like Sylvia was talking about, you know, what improvements have you done to the home? So I'm walking through the house and I'm writing that down. Oh, should I write this down? Oh, they're going to fix something. Should I write that down? You want to make sure that you're recording those things, so that way when you do present the home, you have that information for the buyer's agents. Any questions so far there? How are we doing on time? Look at that. We're blowing by real fast. All right. 5 top reasons why they chose my company. One of the things we talked about before were the core values. I think sellers really appreciate that, particularly when it's somebody that's very analytical. It really gives them a lot of encouragement and confidence in you when you have a system set up like that. Your company's proven results. nobody brags about their failures, right? But we all have great results, awards, achievements that we've had. And you want to highlight those when you're talking about why people are choosing your company history. You got to tell your story. That's another very important aspect of convincing them why they should choose you and your company, is telling them your company story. Floyd's training program, we're always talking about Floyd, telling Floyd's story to get people to relate to being in the bottom half, getting their butt kicked in real estate, and then becoming a top producer. And we hit on this right in the beginning. Number 4, a one-stop service. You've got to have those professionals in your pocket: title agents, mortgage brokers, home inspectors, moving companies, designers, handymen. Having all those people on your team and being able to interchange different professionals is something that's very important. Your sellers don't want to have to keep reaching out to all these different people. They may have a title person in their in their sphere of influence, but likely not. And so you want to make sure that you have professionals that are going to make sure that these close for you. And that's what I pride myself on, is the affiliates that I surround myself with. They're really good. They get these deals closed all the time. So make sure that you have that arsenal ready. And I might even have them on my slides. I might have their logos, their pictures as I'm going through the presentation for the seller to see them. And then of course your referral networks. I know everybody on here is in leadership or involved in a training company. You've got designations. We have many different circles of referrals to referral networks to be able to trade buyers and sellers all over the place. So those are some ideas that you can break down the 5 reasons why people would choose your company. And there's a reason why I picked 5, because it's easy to remember your presentation, because if we don't have all these tools, how do we keep track and how do we stay on target with them? Well, I just use it by my fingers, remembering those 5 different steps. So your marketing. Does anybody, I turned the page. Does anybody want to share a marketing tip? Why should we choose you in your marketing? Let's pick on somebody that's been quiet so far. Maria or Cindy? Katz. No? Richard, why would somebody pick your company? Why would somebody pick your marketing?
Expertise, really the expertise, how long we've been in the business, the people we know, as you touched on with affiliates, but not just that, the realtor referral network, the clients that we have. So there's lots of reasons.
Here's 5 examples that I gave for why somebody would market with me. So a full service brokerage company. I know there are discount brokerage companies out there. There are, the high split companies right now, but our company is a full service, full brokerage company in the community. And, we're like a mom and pop of the neighborhood, and that's why people would choose our company. We also have web syndications. So when we list our properties, they get syndicated. If you're looking at one of the other big chains, I'm not going to mention any of the friendly competitors, but you're thinking about one of the other big chains. Well, my listings are going to syndicate with theirs and get the same exposure. So you're getting the mass exposure that you might have been looking for, but with me, you're going to have that mom and pop feel with that. And we still have an individual website for your listing. So we're able to share it everywhere. You'll be able to share it with your friends, your family, the neighbors that you know in the community. So we're able to co-market that property together because we have that individual website. Many of you know my Market Insider, Know the Market. So I'm able to send data very informative data that's helpful to a seller on a monthly basis in their area, and keep track of the real estate market. So knowing the market and knowing the pulse of it really helps us to be able to get the expectations in line with where the market is. And then now using Showing Assist and being able to book showing appointments 24 hours a day. Doesn't mean that we're going to allow somebody to go in there at 2 o'clock in the morning, but if an agent and their broker happen to set appointments at 2 o'clock in the morning, they could do that and come and see your property. And that's something that people find very hard to coordinate sometimes. Some of the big companies, you have to call into the office. They want to track all their showings, and you have to wait until 9 o'clock in the morning to set up the showing. Well, that's a benefit here. So I gave you 5 different ideas, gave you a couple little dialogues for how you could address those 5 reasons why they market with you. Any questions? No? Doing okay? How are we doing on time? We're getting close to the end here. Top 5 reasons why they pick me. Why do they pick you, Richard?
Because I'm cute.
You have a cute baby.
No, they pick me because, you know, like you said, I know the market. I mean, I'm very personable. I make connections. I'd like to think that's a strong reason. And then, like the knowledge, you know.
Mm-hmm. You ready for these 5, Richard? They're really cool. First one is I can create marketability. I get your home sold. Like you go to Marketing Madness, right? It's a great selling tool. I have professionals in the area. I can call them up and have them come over and visit your home. How many other agents are going to say that? They're going to get friendly competitors from the area, all over the area, to come over and help market your property. I can generate inquiries on your home, right? We know that when we have listings, we can create buyer inquiries just by having those listings. Some buyers want to go straight to the listing agents for those. So I can generate inquiries on your property. And here's a magic trick I always love, and sellers love this. I can separate lookers from buyers. So there's a room filled with people over there. How in the world do you say, okay, all the lookers stay there, stay comfortable, all the buyers stand up and line up and come with me? Well, how do we do that? Well, that's when we talk about the CETO next on the next time with Marnie, having your lender professional with you to be able to separate those people that are just looking from the ones that are really ready to buy. Number 4, professional negotiating skills. Being able to negotiate better than average for my customers. And when we increase our selling skills, we have the wherewithal to be able to handle that difficult situation and still be able to get the results and keep everybody at bay. Nobody's falling off because of the way we negotiate. You know, that creating that win-win scenario when we're approaching negotiations. And some agents have no experience with that, and some agents have a lot of experience with that. So it's one of the reasons why people have chosen me in the past, is because of the negotiating skills. And then coordinating, number 5, coordinating the financing, the timing, the details, and the closing. And I don't know if any of you have ever heard me say that, but I love when I'm with one of my customers and we're at that point, we're at the top of the hill there, and then we get to grab a pair of scissors and run downhill with them. We get crazy because all the contingencies are met, the property's pending, and we're ready to close. And being able to anticipate any of those problems before we get to them. For example, what if there was an issue with the title? When do we find that out? As a buyer's agent, I found that out when we were under contract. But as a listing agent, I want to find that out before we sign that listing agreement. If there's an issue with the title, and having a title company that you can work with, Sylvia said she's happy to give us net sheets. She's happy to work the net sheet for you. Well, she works the net sheet. Hey, can you do a pencil search and make sure there's nothing that's going to pop up on this? And yeah, what might take us a long time would probably take her and her company minutes. So being able to coordinate that doesn't mean that I necessarily do all that or you necessarily do that, but you have the professionals lined up with you to do that. So those are the 5 reasons why people choose to list with me, and they know that once we get to that part in the deal, it's going to close because we've checked everything beforehand. No surprises. Any questions on that one? Do you have 25 things on the paper? There's a bunch of what we call hot buttons when you do have those objections when you're asking all those questions. You saw a couple pages on the back. That's when I would be dealing with a lot of those challenges that they have. And if I already know, and I've written down some of the things that they were worried about when we were asking those questions, I've gone through each one of those steps and I've got them to agree. Yes, yes, is that okay? Does me negotiating for you work well for you? Yes. So the person keeps saying yes all the way through. So I have a question for you, and I'm going to start with you, Sylvia. I'm going to go through everybody here. What is the one thing that I shared with you that you picked up today?
I think that when thinking about what questions to ask before you get to the listing presentation, that's important. When you finally get to that appointment, you should already have something under your arsenal to prepare. There shouldn't be any question on what the preferred sales price would be for their listing and things like that. There are some questions you should ask ahead of time so that it helps for you to be more professional and prepared when you sit down with them.
That is fantastic. And as a matter of fact, the Floyd Wickman team recommends that you actually have your questions pre-printed on a piece of paper. And of course, you can take, plenty of notes and scratch pad on them, but having them pre-printed like that says a lot about your preparation. And we talk when we're going through the full version of this, we talk a lot about knocking out the competition before it's time to knock them out. Just little things like that sets you apart so much further when a seller sees that you have a system in place and that you're going to follow that system. And it's always kind of funny when a seller is like, no, get to the point. And you're like, oh no, we're just going to sit back and we're going to take this one step at a time. And when we take it one step at a time, you're going to get exactly what you're talking about here. And when we skip a step, you're probably not going to get what you're asking for. And after you go through that a couple of times with people, you'll realize I'm not going to lower the standard. I'm not going to skip a step. And your awareness and your skill level is there. So I'm glad that you pointed that one out, Sylvia. That's great, having pre-printed questions. I'm going to go in order here. The next one I see is Cindy on your iPhone, and then Larry, and then Richard. Cindy, what's your big takeaway?
The top 5 reasons why my company, why choosing my company. So the core values, the proven results, my history, self-service, and referral networks. Now, this one's a little tricky, I guess, for newer agents, because sometimes, you don't have a lot of experience, and then you can't really say, I did this, I did that. But that's, I think, the trickiest part when you're starting out.
Yeah, sure. Of course. Oh my goodness. Those other agents got 50 listings, right? I'm like, I know. Imagine the kind of attention you're going to get from somebody that has 50 listings. You know what? You're going to be my one. If I've said this to new agents, yeah, tell them, tell them you've got the enthusiasm, because the veterans, they're the people I want to hang out with. They're the ones that I want to hang out with because they're so excited about it. So yeah, use whatever your position is, use it to your advantage, and don't always think of it as a negative. Good point, Cindy. Yeah, making sure that as a new agent, you've got that history there. Larry, what's a big takeaway? And then Richard.
Well, Brian, I'm back to your 5 reasons with my company, and I think we were just basically discussing that. Depending on how long you've been in business and how big your company is, you have to go to your strengths, and you always know your numbers. Your smart numbers tell you how to close. If you're a big company and you're a new person, that means you have a team leader, you have a broker, you have somebody, you have records to say, yes, but I have a whole group of people to assist me. If you're a small company and you have a record, for example, some people say, well, I want the big company, selling big and selling small. You have to know what your closing ratios are. Yes, I might not do 100 listings per year. I may only do 10, but my closing ratio is, 100%. So therefore, you've got a pretty good guarantee that while I may not do 100 listings, that I'm going to sell your house if you sit with me. It's all about knowing your numbers and always going to your strengths. And that's what I loved about talking about the company history and your proven results.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Larry. Richard, then Terry Lynn, and then we're going to go to Robin.
Yeah, Brian, I'm going to say highlight the obvious. You sat there and you talked about the mass exposure and some of these things like, we kind of get, we take it for granted, but the client don't necessarily know that, the showing assist. I mean, use it to your advantage. And even though that's not necessarily a strength or whatever that you offer that everybody else doesn't, they don't know that. And sometimes just making it look like you do more, the other people may take for granted. So I really bring it back to the basics.
Yeah, because if you just do a little bit more than somebody else and you get, because that's all they're looking for. And when I go on an appointment, look, if I can do a little more for you than somebody else, would you hire me? Yeah, well, how can you do a little more than somebody else? Here's how I might do that for you. Great job, Richard. Thank you. Terry Lynn.
Okay, so what I really got out of this was the COVID. Everybody has a different level of comfort. I have some that want to shake my hands. I have some that want to go to my elbows, and some that says just do Zoom. So the new world that we're in, I think that there needs some kind of protocol about identifying the comfort level, and then some kind of I don't know, like you were doing with the top 5 with the marketing is, I understand there's different levels that everybody feels. There is a certain protocol and a system in place when to list your house. And again, some people would rather see Zoom than they would to see your house. So do you have anything like that you have already developed?
Repeat the question again.
Do you have any kind of a system for COVID and different comfort levels of people in our new world that we have now?
Oh, I think I was talking about this earlier on the previous meeting. People are going to fit into 3 categories. And as we get into the new norm, we have to really understand what one of these 3 people fit into. And the first category, these people have higher risk of having a problem with COVID. They're not coming out of their quarantine, and they probably won't until there's a vaccination for the virus, or there's some clear evidence that they can keep themselves safe. The second group of people, they're sort of concerned about it. They're going to wear masks. They're going to follow some procedures. They're definitely going to be more respectful of people that are worried about the sickness. And then the last group, they just can't wait to get back to normal. And it's how we're going to deal with these 3 categories socially that's going to make a big difference. I was just telling one of my neighbors, she felt like everybody was not really following the orders. She was walking around the neighborhood. Her and her husband had basically been quarantined for the last 3 months. They're much older in our community, and there's a lot of people in our community that are up there in age. And I said to her, I says, I'm seeing it very different. 2 months ago, a couple kids running through the grocery store, and now people are realizing they're going to try to stay away from someone if they're not wearing a mask, or they're not worried about it. They see somebody that is. I think we're starting to see that become the new norm for us. So you know, there's somebody that's going to be, you're going to have an opportunity to list their home in 6 months from now, and they are not going to want to have contact with people. You're going to have to use something like this. Use Zoom and PowerPoint to your advantage. So great, great question, Terry Lynn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Robin, and then Maria.
Hello. I also kind of agree with Sylvia of having the. I was reminded of having answers before the questions, and I think that that is very impactful when we go in with confidence in a professional way, and by doing our homework prior and having the answers instead of "I'll get back to you" or "I'll," you know what I mean, winging it. So I think that that builds the confidence and the trust that they would have for you already having the answers prior to them asking the questions. So it's just being more prepared.
Absolutely. You know, being over prepared. You never can be prepared too much. You know, Floyd always jokes about it. He says to us, have you ever gone on a listing appointment and came out of it and said, I was too skillful for that one. I was just too good for that. Like, no, you always want to improve your selling skills. And, you know, even at the best of times, you know, if you're competitive at it, you want to be better. You want to have a better presentation. And, you know, these are all great highlights that you guys are picking up from this. And my hope is that you're going to use them to do better on your listing appointments. As a member of the Floyd Wickman team, we see it so differently. And I'm so grateful to every Friday to be able to see this business from this different view, being able to see the struggles that we have at different stages of our careers and how many of the same solutions are going to solve those problems. And you know, the one thing that we found is, yeah, practice, drill, and rehearse your presentations. If you're going to meet with a buyer, that buyer meeting should be in the back of your head, memorized. You know, okay, here are the 5 things that I'm going to do with a buyer, the 5 things that I'm going to sell them on. The same thing with a seller. Here are the 5 things, and having that internalized, so that way it becomes automatic. It's so much easier, so much more relaxing, and the outcome is, how do you go out there and get a listing for 1 or 2% more than the person that was there before you? It's because you're showing them the confidence and you're showing them your ability, and you yourself believe in your value as well. So great point, Robin. Maria, do you have anything? No, huh? You guys went easy on me. Sylvia, you guys went easy on me today. Look at that. So let's review. What were the 5 core values? To always give by the get by giving philosophy, to make my client's #1 goal my #1 goal, to live up to my standards despite temptations to lower them, to be willing to work towards a common good, and to do what I say I'm going to do, sometimes more, just never less, were the 5 core values, the 5 parts of the meeting. Anybody remember them without looking? I'm going to ask questions. We're going to tour the house. We're going to talk about the marketing plans. The marketing plan, you've got 15 things to remember on there. 5 things about marketing with me, 5 top things why my company, and the top 5 things why people pick me. How reassuring is that when you tell them, look, all the people that hired me before, these were the top 5 reasons why they hired me. Do you agree with them? And of course they're saying yes, yes, yes. These are the top 5 reasons why I went to this company and why people use my company. Do you agree with them? Yes, 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 yes. And then the last part, the marketing plan. This is how we're going to sell your home. And these are the top 5 services that I provide for that. There we good. We did it. I want to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to speak today on the listing presentation. Of course, Floyd says, learn one, then do one, and then teach one. So now I'm going to have to go learn one and do one again so I can teach this again. Okay, Richard?
So,
Hey, if you guys,
Brian,
go ahead.
wanted
Yeah.
to, the winners of the gas cards, it was a true combination of those that registered initially, the first few that registered initially, and also those of you who are on the actual recording today. So I wanted to say that Robin, Maria, and Cindy are winners today of a $25 gas card. And if you received my email with the Zoom link previously, just reply to my email with your address and I will send it on over to you. Now, if you would prefer a $25 gift card to Starbucks, I can give you the option for one or the other as well. Send me an email and I'll be more than happy to send it to you right away.
Sylvia, you're amazing. Thank you for getting me out of my comfort zone and getting here on Zoom and doing this presentation, because I know I talked about it for a couple months, and so finally we got it out there.
Explain a little bit more about what your Floyd Wickham training is about?
So the training program, you know, we are coaches and trainers, and we do live events. And the one challenge that we're having now is we can't do live events. But, you know, I've been a personal trainer for 30 years. How do you personal train somebody and you're not in the same room with them? Well, that's the new challenge we have, and this is it. Ironically, our team pivoted 2 years ago. So before COVID, we were actually working on this solution, and Mike Powell, the president of the company, started what we call a live stream version of our program. So it's not 6 weeks long, it is 10 weeks long. It's not a full day, it's 90 minutes, 90 minutes once a week. We go through all the same material, and the groups are broken down into Zoom meetings. So we'd have a presentation and we break into smaller groups to do the role playing and practice the dialogues that we're working on. And the end result is, if you are in real estate, you might have heard this term, top producer or bottom producer. If you look at yourself within your company or within your city or within your MLS, you'll find that the majority of us, 84% of people, are actually in the bottom half of production. And they sell one deal a year. Well, the Floyd Wickham team is proud of our results because 85% of the people that come to our program are in the bottom half of production. So they're doing maybe 1-2 deals a year. And when they leave, a year afterwards, now with the live stream program, they're averaging 0.74 transactions a week. Raise your hand if doing 0.74 transactions a week would be an increase for someone that you know in real estate. I know a couple of people that would be an increase for. I might even know that person intimately, right? So to think that's pretty dramatic. And I think the reason why the program works so well is because we're not talking about earth-shattering stuff. But what we do is we force you to take that next action. And the action, I would say, is if you're interested in coming on a program or something, great. I want to see you set up your PowerPoint presentation and call me up and say, hey, what do you think of it? Pop on Zoom with me, Sharkey, and see that. Because, you know, nothing is more frustrating than learning something and then not applying it. And I think that's the trick with what we do is we do it with love. I'm more tough love. Larry's a lot kinder, I think, sometimes than I am with it. But it's that struggle that we need to get through that path to you know, get us over that hump. And once you learn to be a top producer, it's great. It's like, okay, let's go fishing today. We call this thing called real estate. Let's go out there and go catch ourselves a fish. And when you learn the skills, you can make money whenever you like. So that's the program. I think we just started a live stream maybe 2 weeks ago. If I get inquiries, I will definitely set up another one. The magic to this is I need 32 people committed and ready to roll up their sleeves for 10 weeks together. Because without having a critical mass of participants, you're not going to have enough people to rely on to do the work. And our students are averaging 6 listings and sales during the program. So it's pretty cool stuff. Thank you for letting me share that.
Thank you, Brian. And also wanted to let you guys know that through our underwriter, First American Title, I can send you guys, when you're preparing for a listing presentation, a full property profile that has the property appraiser information, has the last recorded deed, it has comps in there. It's a very nice comprehensive report that will be very helpful to you, and we can even brand it to you, and it looks really professional for a listing presentation. I've done it several times for my clients, and they always say that the seller is very impressed with that report. So I'm more than happy to do that for you as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. You have a great day. And if anybody needs me, follow me on Instagram at Sharkey RE.
I will send the recording link to everyone, okay? Hi, Richard.
Thanks, Brian. Hi, Sylvia. Good
Thank
to
you,
see
Bye,
Brian.
Richard. Bye, Terry. Bye, Cindy. Bye, Larry.
Thank you.
Bye, Maria.
Thank you.
Bye, Robin.
Bye.